Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:30 on the dot. It's been probably about 2 months. Oh, I just clicked over 7:31. Fuck, I think. Damn it. I was all excited. I thought we finally actually started on time. But anyways, it's Josh here. On the wrong lead. Happy Thursday. We got a fun show tonight. We got 3 big derby preps. We got some. We're going to talk about a nice little grade 3 turf race. And Mr. Mike El Capitan. Mike.
It's Mike El Capitan. Yes, I've
yeah.
been renamed about 4 times in the past 2
Yeah,
weeks.
Mike, your name is wrong on your sheet there. I don't know if you want to fix that.
Yeah, you even have a player's card with my proper name on it now.
I do. I kept it. I think I actually have it in my bag downstairs. But yeah, Mike and I were in Vegas last week, and we had a good time. It was a fun little time. I know. We both played in that last chance, first chance qualifier, and we both came up a little bit short, but yeah,
I
I had
came
a
up
good time.
more than a little bit short. I came up like with all the short. That was one of the worst tournaments I've ever played in, just because my handicapping and my approach to it were, just didn't fit the day. That's all. I think you had a couple of. I think you ended up doing better than I did. Had a couple of okay scores, but a lot of maybe, a lot of almost, a lot of not quite good enough.
Yeah, you had this um like look of panic on your face, I think, for most of the day. Like there was just like all that like noise going around, and like the fact that you're playing win place tourney at Laurel, Gulfstream Fairgrounds, and Aqueduct. Um, yeah, the if I had to list tracks that you may have ever looked at for more than like an hour on a non-stakes day, those 3 tracks might be at the bottom. Aqueduct, I know you play pretty regularly, but yeah, that was pretty rough.
It was a rough card, or I should a rough sequence. We had rough optionals, just not tracks that I think honestly either of us really play a ton of, with the exception of we do both dabble in Gulfstream. I know you do really well at Gulfstream, but for me that's always a challenging track. But it just man, it was a rough. Yeah, rough sequence, rough day, but that was fine. And then I think we kicked over to Friday and Saturday, and it was really cool to kind of support our friends who were playing NHC. I think all of them did pretty okay. I know Sheldon almost got through to Sunday. A couple little better racing luck, a couple of different choices, and he does. So it was a good time.
So before we get the other 2 guys in here, what was your favorite part of the weekend?
Favorite part,
Yeah.
probably Sunday morning with Sheldon popping edibles. That was probably the
Mm.
the high point. Yeah, and then him for losing his phone about 6 times in the next 30 minutes.
He lost his phone?
Oh, he kept losing it. He would like set it on the table and then put papers on top of it and then forget where it was, and then and then lose it again. And it was that was probably the high point. Yeah, either that or I got called a power bottom by a random dealer who didn't speak a lot of English. So that was pretty interesting. You have to ask Gary for some more context with that one, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I did get a kick out of Sheldon. He was on the phone and he was just like really animated and really excited. And he's like talking, and I was like, oh, he must be talking to like his granddaughter or something, right? Because he's like, oh, hi, like hi, baby, like talking like almost kind of like baby talk. He was talking to his 30-year-old daughter. I thought he was talking to like a 3-year-old. I couldn't believe it. But big shout out to Sheldon. Yeah, him. He introduced us to a couple of his friends, and basically, Mark, you did finally get to meet Noel Pink. So
I
but
have
that was
I
good.
have a picture with Noel Pink, and Noel Pink looks absolutely nothing like what I expected him to. I expected him to be about 40 years older than he is. So that was pretty cool meeting Noel. Yeah, also, honestly, Sheldon's friends were all an absolute blast. They were flipping hilarious. And yeah, in 30 years, we're going to all be just like them.
I brought Caleb in real quick because I wanted to ask his comment on the Noel Pink situation, and it appears that Caleb is frozen.
I'm here.
Interesting.
And
Your videos
this could be an improvement, actually.
your
Is the video
video is
frozen?
extremely frozen.
Let's look at it.
You're like
Your
staring.
video
You
done
look like an
died.
oil painting right now.
It's fine on
He
my
does look
screen.
actually
Let
look
me.
like a oil painting. Yeah, he
Can you
does.
hear me?
Yeah, we
Oh, we
can
hear
hear
you
you
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me toggle my camera off and on. Is
Nope.
that any better?
Nope. You're still there. You're still frozen.
Uh,
Oh,
it's not frozen in
apparently,
chat.
people are saying it's not frozen there. Yeah, it's just on my end. Okay, that's weird. Well, there you go. Uh, but
Oh,
yeah,
he's back
like,
now. Yeah.
how surprised were you, Caleb, when you saw that Noel Pink was like, and it probably is like his 40s or maybe early 50s. I mean, like
Oh, I don't even think he's that old. I think he's
no.
like my age. Yeah, I think he's probably
Well,
late
yeah,
to late
40s
30s.
exactly. Shout out to
Uh,
Stephen Fox thinking you were 43 or whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I never thought about how old Noah Pink is. I mean, I can't say. I guess I assumed he was like in his 60s, like most horse players, but yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for that one, Josh.
No, I just assume with the amount of chalk he ate, he's got to be like 80. But shout out to Noel Pink. Brian, you knew Noel Pink before this weekend. Did you know he was a younger guy?
I can't. How am I just now finding out a complete stranger called Mark a power bottom in Vegas? Why am I just finding this out?
You just
I
found out about this?
I am just finding out, and I am appalled that nobody told me this before. This was text worthy.
Yeah,
There's
it
so
was a
many things I
dealer.
should have known about this.
The dealer was shit talking Mark.
That's fantastic. And there's nothing wrong if you're a power bottom, Mark. More respect, brother. But you know,
It's just about like a wah 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 at one of my hands.
I
There was a whole
picture
succession of these.
I picture a Romanian blackjack dealer just completely eyeing you up, be like, "You power bottom, you." That's how I envision this.
That's funny.
She's
So
a slightly elderly Asian woman whose English was not the best, and she realized she was insulting me. I don't think she quite realized what the insult implied, but she's insulting me in general. It was fun.
oh, I hope Gary giggled. I hope Gary giggled
Dude,
hard.
Gary would
Oh,
not shut
Gary
up
fell
about it.
off
Are
his
you kidding
stool.
me?
Gary literally fell off his stool when it happened.
Man, I this is, you know what, this is better than Christmas. Thank you.
But yeah, we had a good time. We had some nice meals. Thank you again, Mark, for picking up the tab at Yellowtail because that was awesome. That was so fucking good. That sushi restaurant. That's definitely going to be a place that I'm going to try and hit up again. But
It
yeah,
sucks she can't bring the wife though. I don't think they have a vegetarian option. But it's one of
no,
those that tasting menu is just so cool because like so many different things, and like I figured you'd get a kick out of it.
yeah, it's funny because like so my wife is vegetarian, but she's down to like eat basically anywhere. Like if we go to a steakhouse, she's excited. She's like, I can get mac and cheese and I can get mashed potatoes and I'm happy, you know. But like sushi restaurants, nothing. And like they'll like try and make like and the other thing that she doesn't like is mushrooms. So usually like if the place has only got one vegetarian item, it's like mushroom something. And so I think two of the places we went to Catch, we went to Yellowtail. Both of them kind of had that have that issue. So I was glad I got to check those places out because like we go 3 times a year, but I can't eat everywhere. So
She has to love your dumpling place, right? Like, because
oh yeah,
that place
dude.
was off the hook. That was amazing. But I would imagine she'd have a little better luck there, right?
Yeah, she loves that place. They accommodated her with like that hot and sour soup that we had, but they make it with a veggie broth, and she's like, "This is like the best soup I've ever had," so she loves it.
Dude, that soup was like the highlight of the meal. It was so good.
Yeah, but yeah, let's get looking into some races here. Uh, Let me see. Hopefully this doesn't break. All right. Oh, it broke.
Who broke?
There was some crazy audio going on from somebody.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what's happened in the past like week, but for some reason, if I share just the PDF window, like my entire computer freaks out. Literally, all my USB devices shut off.
It's almost like you changed one thing and this suddenly started happening.
I know I get an audio interface and all of a sudden everything breaks. PDT said almond mai tai. It was actually a macadamia nut mai tai. We were kicking those back. That place was so good we actually went twice. Um, but let's get looking at some of these preps. It's probably gonna be a short week for us this week. We got 4 races we're gonna look at. We were hoping to fire away at Turfway and fire away at Sam Houston tonight, and both got canceled. So I figure we'll come in here. We'll talk about our four races we're looking at, and talk a little bit about what we're going to do this weekend, and get out of here. But we're going to start here at Aqueduct. Now I do know that PDT in chat was asking if we were going to cover the Aqueduct carry tomorrow, but unfortunately I don't think we didn't really have time. Well, Mark said he already capped it, but the rest of us didn't have time to cap it before that. So. But race 8 on Saturday, Aqueduct, grade 3 Withers, mile and an eighth on the dirt for 3-year-olds. We're getting some derby preps out of the way. Mark, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I think my general consensus is that I hate Derby Prep and I hate Derby Prep season because you have so many of these horses that you just don't know. If you look through this field, it's a bunch of maiden winners last out. And I think the morning line has the Chad horse, the 9 early voting is the morning line favorite. And the horse makes some sense. Obviously the Chad connections. It's a Klarovich horse. They paid a lot of money for it. And should have the pedigree that says he can get this distance. Then you have somebody like the constitutional lawyer, the 1, another horse that has gotten the distance. Has a win at a mile and an eighth, which is a rarity for horses this time of the year. And the horse makes a lot of sense. But I quite honestly am up against both of the two logicals. Constitutional lawyer, the 1, kind of freaked on an off track and has the pedigree to say the horse should handle a off track horse. Wired, gate to wire, last out, probably doesn't get that pace setup. So have a lot more pace pressure early, I would imagine, in this race. And I just don't really love the horse. And same sort of issue with the 9. Horse just towered over what is a somewhat suspect field. And was kind of controlling pace in that. It's gonna maybe be part of the pace presence here, but again, I know this is always a thing Caleb talks about. Maiden winners last out, first time versus winners. This is a massive step up in class for both of those horses, and although are they deserving favorites? Yeah, probably, but they're not the horses I'm most interested in. I think in this race where I sort of landed was on the 5, Crevassier, the horse that won the Jerome last out and has won 2 straight. I realized that was maybe a slightly slop-addled figure, but the 2 back race at a mile and an eighth is really competitive in here. And I thought the other horse that I thought was really interesting was the 11, Manny on Cook Creek, horse that has run in some pretty classy races, getting a little bit of a break off the Jerome. And coming back here, I thought, again, both horses that have a pedigree to get those kind of distances. And I thought were horses that are interesting from the fact that they're winners. They've faced, or have won, and they've faced winners in previous starts. So I thought those 2 were kind of the ones I wanted to focus in on and try to avoid the logical short-priced horses.
Steven already saying short weeks, like 30 minutes a race. He thinks that the Santa Anita 5-horse field might take us 45 minutes. Fucking smart ass. Sorry, Mark. So you like the 5? Who was the other horse you liked, real quick?
I thought the 11, Cook County,
The 11
made quite a bit of sense in here as well.
Cook Creek.
Sorry, Cook Creek. You're right. Thank you, Cook Creek. I thought those were the 2 horses that had faced winners, a little bit more tested than some of the new shooters in here. And yeah, but again, it's a somewhat wide open affair. I wouldn't beat anybody up for taking a price, but I think those are the 2 I want the most of.
All right, Brian, what are you thinking here?
Man, I didn't like this race. I really didn't. I feel like Mark's spot on. This is a good race to try and find something off the wall. So leave it to me to find something off the wall. And I really can't argue with Mark as far as his take on the Chad and why he's pivoting to the 5. I wish I could. I love to argue with Mark. We all know this, but it's one of those things where I had Cook Creek as one of my top horses. I wish I could argue with Mark. The only thing I can say here is, I think Constitution Lawyer the one is going to take a lot of money. I just have a hard time liking that horse at 7-2. In this spot, if that horse was like 6-1, I'm probably making a strong case to play against Mark. But you know, I'm disappointed. It's one of those things where New York prep races have been letdowns for me for a long time, and there's nobody in this field that I say, man, I want to bet that horse. You know, there's a horse in here that's 30-1 that I could probably say, hey, what? I bet no need to worry because I can, because that's the kind of dumb crap that happens at Aqueduct. And, I think.
Well, the winner of the Wood last year went off at what, 45 or 50-1 or something like that. So yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the softer, it's a prep for one of the softer preps historically in the past 20 years or something. So yeah, there are no monsters in here. Maybe one of these horses makes it the Derby gate and improves, but again, I think this is the type of horse where, to Brian's point, this is the kind of race where you go looking for a price. And Road Warrior correcting me at 73-1. Yeah, I knew it was a huge price.
Was this the Bourbonic race?
Yeah, Bourbonic. All right, was that the Wood last year? I think it was Bourbonic. That sounds right. The Pletcher horse with, I think, Kendrick up.
All right,
I actually
Caleb,
like this race. I agree with you. I don't think we see a Derby winner in here, but I think it's a good betting race. I think it's a lot of good options you can go. I'm with you, Mark and Brian both. I hate Constitutional Lawyer. I just wasn't. I agree with all the reasons you said. The horse he beat, Long Trade, just ran today at 1-5 and got beat by a 17-1 first time starter in the first race. I don't want anything to do with that horse. I don't know what to do with the Chad Brown last stop maiden breaker early voting. I really haven't decided yet. But as the favorite, I'm inclined to play against. I got nothing against your 5 horse, Mark. But the horse I actually liked here, actually, kind of was 2 of them a little bit, but the one I really liked is the 4 Gilded Age. And this horse looks to be a bit of a one-run closer, which he very well might be. But if you look back at some of his races, he just has never had an honest pace to run at. I mean, he was trying to close into a 49-2 half at Keeneland, 2 back. I mean, a 48-3 half at Churchill, 49-1 at Churchill. And then the debut race at Saratoga where he comes out last, and Belmont horses generally don't win first out anyway. But last time out, they put the blinkers on. He was able to get in the race a little bit early and, actually circled the field and cleared. We know that he wants every inch of a mile and an eighth, so I'm not worried about the distance here. He was facing some decent horses in some of those back starts. I mean, he lost to Call Me Midnight, who went on to win the LeCompte 2 weeks ago, 2 starts back. I mean, Rattle and Roll won a big race. Major Generals, the stakes winner. So there's some good horses he's been keeping. A lot better than some of these last stop maiden breakers from Aqueduct, like the 1 or the 9. So I really like the 4. I think he should get an honest pace in here. I don't think it's going to be blistering, but I do think there's enough horses that want to be forwardly placed that it should be fair for any run style. So I like the 4 here, Gilded Age. It's definitely my pick. Kendrick gets up, so hoping for a slightly more aggressive ride. But that's who I'm going to go with. The other one we haven't really mentioned that I kind of like a bit was Smarter Time. This horse kind of does it all. He can win on the front. He can close from way off the pace. And he's another horse that, go back to that January 1st race, it was a very tough day to make up any ground at Aqueduct that day. It was a sloppy, just bog of a track. And pretty much every race was won on or just off the lead. So I thought he put in a huge effort to make that big late run and almost get up. I think the stretch out here is going to help him even more. And I also tend to think that he doesn't have to be as far back as he was in that start. So hopefully he stays a little bit closer. But he might not be quite as classy as some of these, but I do have an interest in him, who I think may get lost on the board just given some of the bigger connections.
Yeah, it seems like our boy Road Warrior here agrees with you. He says he agrees with Caleb. He's taking the Mott off the break. I'm pretty much in agreement. I think the 5 here is my top choice with Cavassier. The horse just seems like one of those versatile type horses. If the pace is too slow, he's gonna be on it, and if the pace quickens up a little bit, he'll stay off and he'll make that run. So I think the 5 is got that versatile run style that we see be real successful in these types of races. So that's going to be my top choice. I was a little interested in this 8 horse, Un Ojo, by for Trevor McCarthy and Tony Dutro. Um, Now, Caleb, I do have a baby little Z pattern marked down here. I know it's not a big one here, but it looks like he got bumped a little bit there. I mean, was already in the back of the pack, got bumped, sent a little bit further back, and closed really nicely. And that was a nice little speed figure. I did ask Mark to see if the winner of that race had run back yet, or if any of the other horses in that race had run back yet, to see if we get any kind of speed figures or anything like that. You know, just to kind of compare, see if those horses kind of improved off that. It's Laoban, which I know is more of a New York bred type thing, and he is coming out of New York bred stakes races. But I thought this was, I mean, at 20-1, like I'll take a shot here with this horse, and I'll definitely key this horse underneath in second and third in exactas and tries here with my 5. So I thought this was an interesting one to look out for. I didn't really know what to do with the favorites. I thought they looked good, but they didn't look that good. I know the 9 is got Caleb's absolutely like least favorite angle, which is maiden winner last out going into graded stakes. Even with 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, he doesn't like that. I mean, I think this horse might be on the engine. So these early Derby preps sometimes are usually 1 on the front end. So the 9, I think, interested me a little bit more than the 1. But definitely, if I'm playing anything vertically, I'm probably gonna use them in at least third place, if not also second. But I think the 5 is my top choice here. I'll key him on top, and I'll use a little bit of this 8 horse. Anything else you guys want to talk about in this race?
I'm just
How?
oh, I
No,
just
go.
gotta say, for Caleb to be on the 4, I was a little surprised because I thought the 4 is great. I thought the 4 is bred well for this, and what turned me off on the 4 was the moosh on a closer. It just scares me a little bit. If that was a front running horse, I'd be like, yes, that's where I'd want to be. That was just my take, and I had the 4 written down, and then I paused at that because I love Kendrick. I love the way he rides. It's just this is a big field to navigate for a guy who's not known to be a good closing jock.
He
Do you
did win the
remember who was
Wood.
riding Dynamic One at 73-1 last year in the Wood?
Bourbonic.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Bourbonic?
Sorry, Bourbonic.
Yeah, it was
It was
Kendrick.
it was Moosh in a last to first move at 73-1. I don't think he gets enough credit for being able to ride any kind of horse, turf, closers, anything else. He used to be one dimensional, but I think he's gotten a lot better.
I might
So
be the
Caleb,
second biggest. I might be the second biggest Kendrick fan. Caleb is probably number 3. Number 1, Caleb. Who's number 1 Kendrick fan?
Capone,
Papa Knight.
Papa Knight, yeah,
Papa
that
Knight,
does love
baby.
himself some cheap speed.
Get that horse on the engine. Mark, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was like, Caleb, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't give Josh crap for where his horse broke its maiden.
His 8 horse.
Yeah, his 8 horse.
I mean, like the horse is going to be 50-1. So if you want to waste $10, I'm not going to stop you.
It may be 51, but
His 8's going to need to catch an Uber from the top of the stretch.
I mean, seriously, he's going to fucking put some roller skates on and hitch onto the ambulance when it drives by.
let me ask you a question, Mike. Would you use that horse defensively?
No, I would not use that horse defensively. I would no, I would
You're
not.
going to eat a beat of that horse.
I'll take crap from Caleb and Brian, but I'm not going to take crap from Mr. Mike Capitan, who lost $200 on Let It Ride and like just didn't know what happened. He didn't know what happened.
So did Gary, and that whole thing transpired in about 30 seconds. So,
dude, Capone and I are sitting at like slot machines, like just talking, and he turns to me and he goes, "Dude, I see Mark is over there. He's going back into his wallet." I was like, "Dude, he just sat down at that table." He's like, "Dude, I think he just lost like $200-300 in 30 seconds." Like, no joke. Like, And the whole time, I guess the dealer was like laughing at them as she was taking his money, which is
Oh
like
yeah,
just the fucking absolute worst. Just the fucking
laughing at us,
absolute worst.
and they were training a new dealer and talking shit about us that we didn't know how to play the game. And I was like, yeah, well, that's great. Thanks, guys.
I think Cap said it best. He's like, "That's what you get for not knowing how to play a game and sitting down at a $15 table."
Just take the $200 to a Pai Gow table and drink for free for 3 hours on $10.
That's the one that pushes. No, I'm thinking of Baccarat, right?
No,
Baccarat's the one that you always get the pushes, or is that Pygal?
Pai Gow does too, because you have to win top and bottom to win in Pai Gow. You have to win high hand, low hand. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's what everyone was telling us, that we need to learn how to play face up Pai Gow because it's like the best drinking game ever.
It's the best drinking game ever. Fantastic.
And if you got to win top and bottom, you are a power bottom. So
We never win bottom.
no, we always lose bot lane. Moving on, we're gonna go to Santa Anita Park here. We're gonna be mile and 16th on the main track here. Robert B. Lewis. You got two Baffert entries. You got the one Messier, who's going to probably be your morning line favorite. We don't have lines as of yet, and you got the 4 Wharton. Are they Starlight? Oh, of course they are. They're both Starlight, just like last week where they had 3. But yeah, we got a full field of 5 at Santa Anita, which is just a shame. Like what's happened, like even just in the past couple of years, like we used to give them crap for like having 7 or 8 horse fields, and now it's like, now we're down to 5. It's just ridiculous. But I kind of looked away from the 2 Baffert horses in this spot, and I think I'm going to key most of my play through this 2 Sir London. Broke its maiden last time out at Los Al. Did break from post position 1 and went wire to wire. Notoriously, the rail is usually bad at Los Al on the daytime track. So I think I kind of want to upgrade the horse a little bit, breaking from that inside post and being able to wire here. And it looks, the notes look good. You get Pratt aboard. And, there's 2 Baffert horses in this race. And Pratt could have rode probably either of them. I know we talked a little bit beforehand, Caleb, that you thought, well, did he maybe just get taken off that one? I'm going to assume that he has a little bit of choice here, and if he really wanted to stay on the one, he could have. So I'm going to take the 2 Sir London here as my top choice, and it's a 5-horse field. Like I'm not taking more than 1 horse in this spot. If I play like a Golden Hour or anything like that, I'm gonna key around this 2 here. But Caleb, why don't you tell me what you see here?
Yeah, so this race sucks. That's probably the first thing I'll say. The second is I really don't have a strong opinion in this race. I tried to find a way to get away from the Baffert horses, and I just can't do it. I don't have anything against your horse other than I tend to not trust Los Al form, and I really don't trust Los Al speed figures. So, this horse won by 10 last time, but he lost 2 starts prior to that. That bothers me a little bit. So, he probably will secure the lead here, but I'm probably not going to try to beat a Baffert with a horse that's probably going to be less than 2-1, which I think Sir London will be. That being said, I'm probably going to steal Mark's thunder, but I actually like the 4 here. The more I look at this race, Wharton. There's nothing against Messier, but I really didn't like the fact he got run down after having the lead in that last race. And the 4-horse Wharton is a little bit more, unproven. I think there's more upside. We don't know how good he could be. Whereas Messier, I think we haven't really seen that huge step forward from him all the way back from October. So I know Johnny Velasquez had choice, and a lot of people are going to just assume this horse isn't live because it's the same trainer, same owner, and JV ends up on the other horse here. But more often than not, I've been burned by other Baffert or angles in the past, and this horse I think just looks to be a little bit more upside for me. I guess is kind of what I'm looking for here. Of the 4 runners that he beat, or the 4 runners in that field that he beat, that have come back to run again. 2 of them won next out. The speed figure is not that far away from what you need to win. So with second race improvement, I think he gets in the conversation. And I kind of like Wharton. There's really no one else I could latch on to, and I don't even latch on to Wharton that much. But I'm just looking for somebody that's not a default top 2 choice here and might be 3-1 or 7-2 in this field.
Mark.
I got nothing really creative. Caleb is right. Wharton would be my top pick in here, but I think you guys have already talked this race to death. It's to me, it's a terrible betting race. It's a race where you probably need to find the one you think's the best in anything horizontal, and I have no opinions beyond. I think everything Caleb said was exactly right. Wharton would be my top pick, and let the cards fall where they may be. I'll just be watching this one.
Brian, you got anything to add here?
I just want to say every time I read George Papa Dranano, I think of the kids show Wiggles because they do a song called Papa Doc. But anyway, take the Baffords. Move on.
Yeah, Nick's basically agreeing. He said Pratt or Wharton. He said those are the only choices here. I think you brought up a good point, Caleb. Before we move on, about that last race where didn't really have a. I mean, yeah, they went 22-3, 46-3, but like those Baffert horses in that low saddle track should win that race. Like him getting run down on that, like, yeah, it's a little suspect, but yeah, I think it's probably between the 2 and the 4. I'm gonna key the 2, and we'll be good. PDT with his sister's tin check here. He says if Happy Jack was legit, he would be with Sisterson. So what a fanboy.
I tried to like Happy Jack, but O'Neill spots his horses, let's call it aggressively, and putting this horse back on, what is it, like a little over a week's rest in a grade 3 against 2 Baffords and another horse that looks good, stretching out to a route for the first time. It's just too much. I want to like this horse, but I don't think this is the right way to manage him.
I do see something though here, Caleb. I do see the little baby
Yeah, little
Z
baby
here,
Z.
little baby
baby
Z
Z.
there. So,
Dude,
Man,
that's
like-
2 races you're making a Baby Z move here. What's going on? We went from 3 cherries to Baby Z's.
yeah. Well, we got some cherry specials, I think, in the next couple races. So, all right, let's move on to Gulfstream. We're on the Gulfstream, and we're gonna take before we go to the Holy Bull. Let's take a look at the Swedish Chant a little bit. I thought this was an interesting race. I know we're going to be going a mile and 16th here on the turf, and Brian, you really like this race. So why don't you talk to me about this?
You know, I thought it was a good race. The Holy Bull's always a good chance to find something to double into, right? So this is the kind of race where I want to find something that's going to happen. And what is there? Would you quit moving? Thank you. So, sorry, I've got a helper tonight. I think the most likely favorite is going to be Opalina, and I don't want to talk about Opalina too much because I'll let Mark do that. But as I went through this race, I was trying to find something different, and here's where I went, and I'll let you guys hash the other ones. But the 4 Ambatios, whatever. Here's the notes I have. And it's one of those things where it seems like an aggressive move up for Grand Motion off the double try maiden win, right? 2 starts in the money in maidens, but now all of a sudden it comes here. And the horse is proven to be able to run this distance, so I don't think the distance is the problem. And might be a benefactor if Opalina and Ocean Safari get a little ahead of themselves early, should be able to like stalk. It's one of those things where at 6-1, I'm probably a little put off by it. But if the tote is 8-1, closer to post time, 9-1, I'm probably excited about this horse because there's a lot of upside in what I don't know. I've got notes for the other horses, but it's one of those things where at 6-1 with Paco for Graham, it's just something screams to me is what's Graham doing with this horse? Why the aggressive move up here? So, I'm not going to question Graham Motion. He's way smarter than I am with how to place a horse. And then,
yeah.
Go
ahead, Brian.
I'll talk about one more just
Okay.
because I can. And it's, the kid was just on my lap. So let's talk about my favorite daughter. Corey's aboard. You guys know I love Corey. Big Corey fan here. Huge price. Last out was the best figure, but that was on synthetic. So it's one of those things where I'd expect the horse to go back 2 or 3 races, right? Probably, if you look at Briz, they're probably going to do something like an 80. But, Corey surprises a lot, right? He wins when he shouldn't win, and this horse should not win on Saturday. That's why I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this horse a double look. 20-1 in the morning line, and let's be honest, Corey needs help. So anything's possible. What do you want?
Yeah, I went a different route in this race. I thought the 2 was the horse to beat in this spot. It is a little tough with the problems that Gulfstream's been having with these timing issues. You get no fractions, you get a final time. Like, I don't know if you can really trust these figures, but I don't know. I think that the horse kind of has passed other horses at this part of his career. Does like to come from a little bit off of it. A more versatile run style, and Sias just knows how to ride this turf course. So I thought the 2 made a ton of sense here, and Nick just like gave like some really great comments, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm drunk. I thought we were on the Holy Bull." So
Hey,
we'll get back to your comments.
can I poke a hole in the tooth real quick, Josh?
Yeah, go for it.
Poke away.
So, as a favorite, the horse lost last out and moves here, right? The horse is 1 for 5 lifetime, and it's most likely a post-time favorite. I mean, I see what you're saying about the versatility, but maybe horse for course, right? 4 for 4 in the money at Gulfstream, but is this the kind of horse that's going to hang in the stretch and leave you pounding your head?
I mean, maybe, but like I don't think this is a single whatsoever. But I do think that this is going to be my. I think this is the most likely winner in this spot. I looked at this race, and that I'm going to use that horse. Like I can't really poke a ton of holes in it, and instead of like going through and like talking about all these other horses, the other one I was a little interested in was this 9 horse running Legacy. 15-1 on the morning line. Dylan Davis and Safi Joseph here. Dylan doesn't exactly ride for Safi all that much, and Dylan is also not exactly a noted turf jock. Safi not exactly a noted turf trainer. There's a lot against this horse, but I think the breeding on this horse really does. I think it's an A+ on breeding. I think that Gunrunner, we haven't seen what Gunrunner is going to do 100% on the turf, but Gunrunners last year were firing. I mean, they were winning everything that wasn't nailed down. So Candy Ride, the sire of Gunrunner, is a very versatile sire. So there's nothing that doesn't show that Gunrunner is going to be able to run on both. But really, the dam side is what's interesting. You get a little bit more of a turf influence on the dam side. You got 4 turf winners, 10 starters, 8 winners total, and I just really think that this horse is going to take to this turf course. Won its last race off on the synthetic track, and is moving to turf. So I think that this is going to set up nicely for this horse. He's going to be coming from off the pace, and this is going to be a horse I'm going to take a shot on. But I'm going to go ahead and let. Oh, that cut out again.
Oh, your video's gone.
Oh, okay. Well, as I figure out what the heck is going on here, Caleb, why don't you take it away as you trash my 9 horse?
Hey, can we ask for a show of hands in chat if everybody wants Josh to go back to his Yeti microphone? Go ahead. Put your hands up.
Oh, is it popping again?
Oh, yeah.
I was just hoping Nick Feldman was going to throw an emoji up of hands. That's all. Sorry, Caleb.
No, you're good. We just got a good comment in here from a friend of the stream, Papo. Watch out for synthetic route horses showing speed coming back to dirt and grass. I don't play much Gulfstream. It's not a track I do well at, but I know that synthetic routes have been very, very tough to wire. So any horse that showed speed and had somewhat of a respectable finish, I think that's a great angle is to keep an eye out for them. For me, I mean, once again, I think Josh picked a horse that kind of has no chance in here with the 9. So I'm not going to really talk about that one. I'm not really against his 2 here, but I do kind of agree with Brian that it sort of seems like the chalk that just, it finished by far the worst of the common horses in that last race at even money. And I don't really have an explanation for that, so I'm a little bit hesitant to go back and bet this horse here. Um, so the horse I actually ended up on, much to my own chagrin a little bit, was the 3, Roughly a Diamond. So this horse, I usually hate Tampa shippers because I don't think that form typically translates well to Gulfstream. But I think there's enough other form in here that I'm going to forgive that last race at Tampa, which at least he did win, or she did win, excuse me, because the 2 races that she had at Keeneland and Gulfstream on the turf were both good. I mean, that Gulfstream race going 7.5. I mean, she was flying late. Ended up getting fouled and got moved up to first that race. She ran very respectably in the Jessamine, only beating 2 lengths to California Angel. And that last start at Tampa, I mean, that was her first start in about a 3-month layoff there, 2 or 3 month layoff. She got the job done despite being up against a really slow pace where they went 50 and change to the half. So I am nervous about taking Leparoux on a 1-run closer in a race that doesn't have an abundance of speed in here. But I do think that she's a lot better than her 15-1 line. That's a terrible line. But I think she's a lot better than her line indicates. I think she probably will get overlooked because of the connections. But if you look, I mean, when the one time these, Apollina and Roughly a Diamond faced off, there was a quarter of a length, 3/4 of a length that separated them in the Jessamine. I mean, there's not that much between these horses, but I think there's going to be a factor of 5 between their price. So I'm going to go with Roughly a Diamond here.
I don't disagree, Caleb. I had Roughly a Diamond written down as best of the closers, and Julian is a 10% jock right now. It's like, I'm the one who usually argues not to play because of a jock, right? And now I'm second race in a row. I'm going to make a jockey excuse, but it's one of those things where this horse can win because the favorites in the short prices, the quote unquote logicals in the pools are going to be not that good.
Yeah, it's a great betting race if you have an opinion. I agree with you.
Yeah, so I know everybody talked about that I would be all over Opalina, and I'm really, really not. I think Opalina needed to kind of show a little more her last 2. And sort of, what's changed here that she's going to suddenly run better off from that January race? Like, I don't think there's any reason she steps forward, although she probably takes money. 2 horses that no one's talked about that I thought were really interesting and actually are my top 2 horses in here. First one is the one Nostalgic, the Bill Mott horse in here. The first time turf horse. She ran, fine in her debut on dirt, won by 7 3/4, looked really impressive doing it. They took a shot at the Demoiselle. She ran fine. She didn't run great or anything. Wasn't embarrassed though. She was 4th by 4.5. She's got pedigree top and bottom that says she should be a really good turf horse. Bill Mott always starts these horses, even if he thinks that they're turf horses, he always tries them over dirt first. And so I think that on the surface switch, I realize he's not massive percentage-wise on the surface switch, but if you find a horse that makes sense where he's just not taking a shot in the dark for, a Godolphin homebred, I thought that horse made a lot of sense. And the other horse I thought was really interesting as well was the 10, Hal's Dream. A horse here that, Ken McPeak tried this one on the Keeneland turf, first out, massive. She was absolutely flying light, gets up by a nose and wins. And then they took a shot in the goldenrod. They were trying to see, could she be a potential Kentucky Oaks type horse? They took their shot and she's not. She didn't handle dirt at all. She's getting back to the turf here, though. Perfect across the surface. And honestly, that her debut maiden figure is not that much slower than some of the best figures out of some of the classier horses in here. And she has every right to take a step forward off from an October debut. So I thought Hal's Dream here, a fair bit of a price, 15-year, 12-1, actually made quite a bit of sense. And it's a horse I want to have I want to have in my horizontals. Probably, I'm thinking of probably like a 110 start to a double here.
So you mean to tell me neither one of you are on the 6? I had so many notes in the 6, but I skipped the 6 thinking, oh yeah, this looks like one of those guys are gonna be all over that horse.
Is it because it's named Ginger Brew, or it came out of the Ginger Brew? Is that why?
Huh?
It's named Ocean Safari, but
yeah, I know. But the last race with the Ginger Brew.
I like the 6. I actually had the 5 and the 6 written down. This is a race I had no real strong opinions. I would be spread, and the 5 and 6 are both on my list as well.
It just surprised me because you look at what Ocean Safari did against Opalina, and I think Ocean Safari might be the better horse with less races, and came out strong in January. So it's like, what is she going to do now? she could be a really good 3-year-old filly. I don't remember if Josh talked before his microphone problems or not, so that's why I'm just filling
I
space.
did.
He liked that
Yeah.
hopeless horse, the 9 or something.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on. Apparently now I share my screen and like all my shit breaks. So hopefully my audio is fixed now. I did want to say that Nick Feldman is probably one of my favorite guys when he pops in the stream, but he just said Mark great insight, and I don't know. I think he lost a couple points because I don't know if he understands the point of the stream is for us to all dunk on Mark, but
Who's
you know.
Mark?
Oh, Mike. Sorry,
There
Mike
you
Ah,
go.
Capitan. Mike,
Yes,
yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Mike,
El
yeah.
Capitan.
But if
I did
anybody
have
doesn't get the mic joke, I literally walk into the LCQ. They give you your card that you have to swipe, and it says Mike Capitan on it. So I'm like, guys, this is the wrong name. I walked up, and they like wouldn't change it. They're like, oh, if you qualify through to tomorrow, we'll get it straightened out tomorrow. It was like,
we're not going to
I,
worry about it unless you qualify, basically.
unless you qualify for
Yeah.
BC or for NHC. Like, really, guys, really.
Would've been
You got
great
my
if you-
name. You got my name wrong. It's going to show on the board wrong all day, and you're not willing to fix it for.
See, but aren't you glad that it was wrong now?
I actually,
but-
yes, I am, because I just claimed that I wasn't there. This never happened, and yeah.
Hey, sir, just shut up and go get a stale donut from the cart, please.
the food spread was actually pretty decent. The food spread was decent. The drink pours were heavy. I don't know. Like I didn't see what people were complaining about on that end. I mean, the takeout conversation is a completely different one, and
I didn't try
I don't
any
know.
of the food,
Certain people just like not playing from the room. I mean, that's another problem. Unnamed people apparently per the NTRA. But we'll see. We'll see if they fix it. I did find it funny. Just last thing about NHC. Someone had commented, "Oh, there's a new sheriff in town though, because there's like a new head of the NTRA." And he put out a statement, and all his statement said was, "Oh, I'm going to go to Washington and fight for all the horsemen." And it's like, yeah, he said nothing about trying to fix the tournament in Vegas. So, let's. There was a lot of good. Oh, go ahead.
There's
Brian.
a players committee meeting next week regarding changes. NTRA
we're
put
doing
out a tweet
changes
today
that-
about it.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I'll
we
hold
get
my
some.
breath. I'll hold my breath there, Bry. But let's talk real quick. A couple of comments here. You guys did point out Papo's had a really good comment
Nick
earlier.
Feldman agreeing with Caleb.
Stuart Guthrie saying the morning line's terrible. The Tampa horses are probably third and fourth choice. I see. Papo saying that there's a decent exact in the last going back to turf, and word is that Jared Bush had it for about $20. So nice
I also
hit by
heard
Jared Bush on
he
there.
pot cleared the Aqueduct pick 6 as well. So
Yeah.
He sent Papa all of his plays, but Papa wouldn't share them today.
Nick Feldman's talking about Tyler getting on Battle Charge. Was that the horse that you guys mentioned already?
No one talked about him.
The 8 horse here.
Yeah, he's interesting because he could be your leader in a race. I don't think there's a clear-cut speed. I mean, he's one of a couple that could go. And, with Tyler, I mean, crazier things have happened. I don't hate that horse. It's just there's a big discrepancy between time form and Brisnet. I don't know what the buyer looks like. Brisnet has it too slow to win, but like not unbelievably slow, whereas like time form has that race pretty slow. So I'm just not sure what to make of that figure.
the notes in DRF has that horse as the one to beat.
Really?
I don't know off what or where, but sure, you guys do you.
He's really 5-1. Wow.
In all fairness, the Brisnet figs usually come back a little slow at Tampa. I don't know if they rate that track heavy or what. It's an odd thing for Tampa, and it's only Tampa that I've noticed that at, and it's something that I tried to track last year, and then I just quit because, well, I didn't care that much.
Yeah, time form has that horse being massively too slow off the last figure, but Bear does not have that as being substantially slower than a number of others in here. Actually, I think it's one of the fastest figures in the field. So I don't know what to make of that Tampa fig.
Yeah, Nick Feldman saying that Bill Mott's bringing the heat at Gulfstream last 2 weeks. The one seems interesting as well. nostalgic, which I don't think we talked about.
No,
I
Those
Mark,
are
did
Mark's
talk about the
picks.
one.
Mark did.
You just tuned them out, which was probably the right thing
You
to
know,
do.
it's like
Oh.
okay, we had Jared and Caleb. Now we have Nick and Mark and Mike. So I don't know what's
Yeah,
going
Nick
on
and
there.
Mike, what the heck is going on here? And Stuart saying, yeah, they let Saez go 52 seconds. That's what happened in the last race at over there. But let's move on to the Holy Bull. All right, Caleb, I know you've been doing those Derby prep videos. You've been you've been all over HRN, all over your tout sites, getting people congratulating you for $10,000 stable dual hits. So the most prestigious race of the weekend, I figured we'd let you lead off here, Caleb. Mile and 16th. That's Grade 3 Holy
Uh,
Bull. What
For
you got here?
for 8-year-olds and up at parks.
that is generous. So I think the race, you have to start this race with the favorite, I think, the 2, Mo Donegal. He really has done just about everything he's been asked. I mean, he couldn't quite get there in his debut, but this is a horse that they must have known he wanted to stretch out because they put him around 2 turns. Well, a Belmont mile and 16th in his second start. He gets the job done there, and that race actually came back to be pretty good. From Another Mother and Life is Great both came back to run some pretty impressive figures in their maiden scores next out and then 2 starts from now. So that was a decently live race. Again, last time out, Mo Donegal was in the Remsen and was up against a very, very, very slow pace. Aqueduct is a wonky track that is very deep, and a lot of times they have some times that are slower than you'd see elsewhere in the country. But that was a slow pace. I mean, there's really not 2 ways about it. And he was able to overcome it. He was able to sit mid-pack, put a head in front, and he did beat a very good Chad Brown horse, Zendon, who has yet to run back, but they were both 10 lengths clear of the rest of the field. So I do think you need to respect this horse. He's earned it. Pletcher is on fire of this meet. And the fact that this horse shows up here instead of in the Withers is at the very least curious to me. I mean, I'm not sure what the thought process is there. I mean, the purse is the same, other than the fact that it seems like Pletcher's A squad always goes to Gulfstream and the JV squad kind of stays back in New York. So I'm thinking if this horse is here, he must be pretty dang live. I mean, Irad retains the mount here. He does need a bit of pace to run at. He's not really explosive. He's more of a grinder that keeps coming at you. But I think he gets the pace set up here, and I just really think he's the best horse in this race. There is another horse that I'm interested in, but I think Mo Donegal probably is definitely a deserving favorite, and I do not think he'll get 3-1 on Saturday.
Do you think the move is purely to go like Holy Bull, Florida Derby, Fountain of Youth kind of?
It could be, yeah. It could be just setting up for the future preps as well. Yeah. I mean, he's been based in Florida since December, it looks like. So clearly there was a plan for this horse to come down here.
Oh no, PDT and I are on the same horse. I'm a little concerned about this.
What, Tiz the Bomb?
Tis the Bomb.
Talk to me about Tiz the Bomb here.
Yeah, I think the logic here is, and I know I've talked about this angle as well, horses that they throw onto the turf, not necessarily because they're a turf horse, but because they're talented and they need those slightly longer distances so they can find at that point in the year. This is a horse that, Ken McPeak took this one which does not have a ton of turf pedigree, in all honesty. Won the Kentucky Juvenile Mile and the Bourbon. And then they ran a really good second in the in the BC Juvenile Turf to Modern Games, who I think is a legit horse. I think when you can find these types of horses that, I don't know if I want to call this dirtied up form per se, but there's a horse that hasn't been in dirt in a while. And if you look back to his last dirt race, you go, oh, well, he's just not fast enough to be a player in here. But I would imagine since the first week in July, he's improved quite a bit and is just a much better horse. So I thought Tiz a Bomb. By the way, Josh, you're thinking he's up on screen.
On screen.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why Blitz just popped up randomly.
But no, I think Tiz the Bomb in here makes a ton of sense. That's the other horse that I really want to focus in on. Just on if I'm going to get somewhere near 6-1 on that horse suddenly becomes extremely interesting.
So I got to jump in to show Mark's pick because no one has really done that yet this stream, and it's overdue.
I tried to.
Tis the Bomb's the wild card for sure. But when you say he's not a turf horse, he doesn't have turf pedigree. I mean, come on. Like you took a dirt horse in a turf race last time, and now you're taking a turf horse in a dirt race. Hit at a Bomb was a turf horse through and through. Warfront's a turf horse through and through. The Dam was a turf horse. Tis the Key through and through. And this horse is second to Modern Games in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf by a length. I mean, we got a turf horse on our hands.
Won the race.
Yeah, he got the purse money, so let's not go there. But this is a turf horse through and through. I mean, he beat a bad field on the dirt when it got washed off. At 6-1, sure, maybe, but I think instead of taking a shot on the turf because they want distance before, I think they're taking a shot on dirt here to try to make a turf horse into a derby horse like we see more often than not.
I don't know. Phoenix Thoroughbreds aren't really turf owners.
No. Yeah, that's what my take. Phoenix doesn't own a lot of turf horses. They did start this one out on dirt, so sure.
It doesn't matter. You guys haven't even talked about the winner yet.
No?
No.
Who's the winner? Come on, tell us, Brian.
Mucho Macho Man. I want to be Javier Castellano.
Mucho Gusto?
Yep. No, I like the four simplification. The best part is I wrote down wire to wire who pressures. That's what I had. The 4 is an E8. Shout out Josh, your microphone's jacked up. I got you, brother. This is a solid E8 horse. Who's going to pressure Javier up front? That's 3 cherries, or if you're fat like me, 3 double stuffed Oreos, whatever you want to go with. But I like the 4. I think the 4 could get an unpressured lead. With that being said, man, I've become Josh. This is ridiculous. Right below there in the 5, my note is, can Rios hold this field of jocks? Will he get outclassed? This horse is, the 5 is 5 for 5 in the money. 2 wins at Gulfstream. Horse loves the track. The price might be too hard for me to pass up. I mean, 8-1 on the morning line. This horse is going to float with what this field is. This horse is going to be every bit of 12-1. And looking at the way the horses ran, if Rios doesn't get, starstruck by seeing Irad and Javier next to him, then that horse is a solid contender at what might be an overlooked price. Nothing smart, blah, blah, blah.
Is it my turn?
I was waiting for Mark to say why I'm wrong.
I was just going to say, Brian, but a horse that's coming out of a bunch of state bred and restricted races and is stepping up into a G3 doesn't scare you somewhat?
Yes and no, but here's
I know class doesn't matter, but it seems like maybe the situation it might matter.
Here's why it doesn't. Last out, the horse went a mile and a 16th. Look at those fractions that we have from Gulfstream. If the fractions are like that on Saturday, this horse is going to be dangerous. Keep looking, Mark. You'll see it. They're there.
Okay.
If those fractions are similar, this horse is going to be tough. And yes, it's state bred, but the fractions are honest. The horses ran good times, even though it's a state bred, right?
I see the list of the last races being fractions unavailable. So if you have them, that'd be cool. But
no, that's what I was making a joke because it's Gulfstream. But no,
got it.
2 back, 7 furlongs, 45. That's fair. In this field, we're not going to see anything blistering. Mile and 16th, we'll probably see 45. The horse was second by 3 there to Octane. It might be a touch too steep here, but whatever happened last out at Gulfstream, going to the route for the first time, I'm willing to gamble on a horse that's going to be double digits. And this would be a great kind of like stable duel or even a horse tourneys play because this horse is going to hold some value.
Or the horse might run up the track by 20 and get you a negative 60 or whatever it is.
You just took Brian Hernandez and Kenny McPeek in Florida.
I did.
You realize that's Florida.
I realized the dumb thing.
Where is Churchill Downs? Where are the twin spires of Gulfstream Park?
Josh took Leperoux earlier, so
Well, Josh is the smart person of Gulfstream. If it's dirty, if it's muddy, I call. If it's muddy, I call Mark. If it's Gulfstream, I call Josh. If it's anywhere else, I call Caleb.
I didn't really have anything to add. I mean, I basically have simplification. And once again, sorry if my audio is cracking. But I had simplification as an A. I thought the horse was going to get on the lead. I didn't really see it getting pressured here. And I think Simplification is going to go wire to wire in the spot. As a B horse, I am going to use Cajun's Magic. Tis the Bomb is kind of a question mark for me because I agree with Caleb. I think this is a turf horse. And I don't know. I mean, I get everyone gets Derby fever. So maybe they're trying to see if they got something here, if this horse is going to be just good enough. But this horse screams turf to me, so I kind of had a hard time going there. I have to bring up the 9-horse Giant Game because Nick Feldman has been screaming Giant Game since the race before. Let me see if I can find his
Well,
notes here.
I can't believe that. The horse got third in the Breeders' Cup, and not one of us picked that horse.
I have the horses at B, so that should put it right.
Of course you do. You have
Of course, I
everything
mean
as
you
a
have
B.
every horse as a B. Mark, get the heck out of
It's
here.
like, I think American Pharaoh can get beat, but I'm going to use American Pharaoh at 1 to 5 as a B.
I just, I don't think the Breeders' Cup was a good race. We all looked at it as a match race, basically, between Jack Christopher and Corniche. And then Jack Christopher scratched out. Corniche walked the dog, and he beat a bunch of nobodies. Papa Cap came back and ran, third or fourth in the Lecomte after, just 2 weeks ago. I mean, the Oviatt Class and the other, shitty California horses that finished in that race, Barossa. I mean, it was a bad field. He did have a trip. And he should improve off of that. But a 7-2, that's not the price I want on that kind of a horse. And I just think Del Roman's, his horses just never seem to live up to what they could be lately. So I got a hard time going there. But who knows?
Look at PDT's comment. So we're going to see Giant Game at Turfway in like a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know. My issue with Giant's Game is more how does he sit a trip where he can win on a very speed favoring track, and I just don't see a scenario that sets up where from a pace standpoint that he can get a great trip. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he improved a ton since that Breeders' Cup. He's got every right to do that, going 2 to 3, but it just feels like he's drawn outside, not going to get on the lead, which is what he did to when he got his win in his maiden at Keeneland on a fairly speed favoring Keeneland track, and he's clearly not going to get there. Not going to get the lead here. So for me, it was more of a pace scenario sort of set up. He's a horse that can always improve, and again, these first early preps are always a bit of a throwing dart kind of contest, just because who's improved in the 3 or 4 months they've been off, or who is getting the stretch out, or what maiden breaker last out steps up, and just those types of angles that just are really hard to handicap, and becomes a little more gambling, a little less handicapping in these types of races. But could he win? Sure. At 7-2, I don't want any part of it.
I mean, how many times do we see a Dale Romans horse just be lights out in the morning, and then in the afternoon just kind of is there?
Dennis's moment.
That was PDT's joke, Mike.
I went back to it though.
Yeah, Charles Blaha saying they've been pointing Giant Game towards the Derby since last year. He thinks it's a tremendous horse here. So, go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, Josh. I keep looking at that. I want to believe that, right? I want to believe that they came out in the maiden 120 and then lost to Great Escape, and I don't remember who's Sal Beach. I don't even know who that horse is.
No idea.
But it's one of those things where, man, I would love to believe Charles.
Steel Beach is a Chad sprinter.
I mean,
sorry.
Is the horse really going to float up with Sias aboard? Your Sias at Gulfstream Park, he's riding lights out. 7-2 is probably going to be what you get, right? I mean, look at what the field is. Who else is going to take money here? I'm trying to take a horse that's moving up at some 3 cherry cheap speed here, because this race, other than the 2 and the 9, who's going to take the money? I don't see it.
That's my issue too, Brian, is the price. Like, if you tell me, you get Giant Game at 6-1, all right, I'm a little interested. 8-1, I'm interested for sure. 7-2, to me, that's just not the price for me to go to that horse. Now, if you're a believer and you buy the hype, then you're getting a good price on a horse that, if you believe, if you bought the news, you're getting a good price at 7-2. But I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of these trainers also have these horses that are, that's my Derby horse. But every big name trainer, whether pick any of the big names. They all have 5 Derby horses every year that are the fastest horse on the face of the planet that's being set up to run in the Derby. And most of them just don't pan out. And when you're hearing, oh, this is my Derby horse, well, does he have 3 or 4 others with it as well? And I mean, they all want to say, geez, I have this loaded team of 2-year-olds that become 3-year-olds that are rampant ready to go into the Derby. Well, yeah, but how many of them actually ever really get there? How of them, there's certain trainers that when they say, yeah, this horse is a monster, you believe them. I don't know if Roman's is one of those trainers.
I've never really disagreed with Nick this much, but I don't think there's any way that horse goes off at 5-1 after a 3rd place finish in the Breeders' Cup. I think random
No way.
people are going to see that and say, "Oh, the horse lost to Corniche by just a little bit. We're going to bet it."
Nick also asking if anyone talked about Spin Wheel.
I don't think anyone talked about him.
That's another one of those closer horses at Gulfstream. I don't know if you can really trust. What were you going to say, Mark?
I was just saying, Maidenbreaker last out, broke its maiden at Churchill. I would much rather see this horse at some other track where dirt closers can actually get there. Probably just really does not set up for the horse. I mean, maybe the horse is a monster, but I just don't see it. I think it's quite the stretch for me.
The 7 should have waited and ran at Keeneland and Fairgrounds.
Agreed. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know.
Before we wrap up, I can't believe we didn't talk about the other horse I liked, but I did want to circle back to him, which was the 8-horse, White Barrio. I don't know if maybe nobody else cared for that horse, but I thought he looked good in this race. He won sprinting by sitting off the pace. He wired a field and crushed an optional 75. And then he came out last in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And I think that was actually a strong race. That race had, Call Me Midnight was in that race, who finished like mid-pack. He came and crushed, won the Lecomte in impressive fashion. Smile Happy, was one of the leaders in the Derby Futures Bowl. Classic Causeways, a very accomplished as a 2-year-old. So I think that's a strong race. I like the fact this horse didn't quit, even though he was kind of strung out wide for most of the race. And since it's a theme of the night, he did run a baby Z pattern right there. He's a perfect 2 for 2 at Gulfstream, and I think this horse makes a lot of sense. I don't know that he's going to love, to go a whole lot farther than a mile and a 16th. I don't know that I want this horse, in the Fountain of Youth or the Florida Derby. But I think that in this race, where I'm not terrified of anybody, I think he might get overlooked a little bit. And I like White Barrio quite a bit. Him and Mo Donegal are probably the only 2 I would use here.
I'm kind of surprised that you're talking about White Barrio coming back and beating Call Me Midnight when Giant Game did the same exact thing 2 races back.
Well, that's what I said. It's the price. I mean, it's 1-6 to 1, 1-7 to 2.
Okay.
So if you switch the prices, I'd probably be more interested in Giant Game.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Any consideration here on Safi Joseph for the 8 versus Romans on the 9 at Gulfstream?
I mean, a lot of consideration, yeah. Safi, 7 times out of 7.
Question though, is Tap It on Top and Into Mischief, is that good, Mark? Is that good dirt?
Good.
Is that good for dirt?
That's just good pedigree in general.
Power bottom.
Well, I think that's going to do it for the Derby preps. I guess before we sign off, Caleb, what you got going on this weekend?
Not too much. I know we have 3 Derby preps this weekend, but they're not quite my favorite preps. I don't get too excited until we get to the 50-point races. So I think that starts with the Risen Star at Fairgrounds in like 2 weeks or something like that. But I'll probably have some Gulfstream action for Stable Duel. They're having a big contest. And I might live bet a little bit of, Aqueduct or maybe Fairgrounds, because that's kind of the track I've done the best at lately. But I probably won't be betting anything too aggressively. I might jump into a couple of feeders for the Keeneland Grade 1 gamble, since I already paid Josh's way. But we'll see.
Thank you. Mark, what do you got?
We plan the Duck Pick 6 tomorrow. If you're interested in capping it, your Discord person, hop on. I will be going through the card probably first thing tomorrow morning, East Coast time. And after that, also we'll be in trying to get a seat for the grade 1 gamble. That's going to be my other shot. I got to chase down Josh. So yeah, try to get a seat in there on the cheap. And if not, that'll be my next major tournament. I think. Wait, is grade 1 gamble before or after Players Championships?
April 8th, I think it's the week before Players
It's
Championship.
the week before. Okay, cool. So grade 1 gamble will be my next major, and a couple of us might head down to Keeneland for it. It'll be fun.
Brian, what you got?
I'm gonna watch this little one play with their eyes all weekend, and then you know, maybe do something for a Keeneland feeder. And you know I won't be playing Santa Anita. I won't be playing anything on the left coast. Maybe spot plays. That might be it. What are you doing?
Getting the shot.
There's nothing that's on my radar as must play. You know, Gulfstream, as fair as it's been, I mean, this is a pretty good card at Gulfstream. I will probably play Tampa on Saturday. You know, I think Tampa on Saturday's got a ton of opportunities. Mark and I talked about it. The Tampa late pick 5 on Saturday was worth some time if you want to look for a pick 5 with some big horses. There are like 15 horses in 3 of the races.
Yeah, I didn't mention that I may actually take a shot at that pick 5 at Tampa on Saturday, that late pick 5. A couple of stakes races. Those stakes races came up really good, and just that entire card looks really solid. So, yeah, I might take a shot at that one as well.
Cool. Yeah, and I got
Wait, Vicky's saying grade 1 gamble's April 23rd. I could have swore it was April 8th.
You must have them flipped then. So it's PC first and then gamble second. Okay. Well, then that's fine. That's fine.
Maybe
I just had them backwards in my head.
Maybe I got
I'll be in both because I need to be in both. So
maybe I was looking at last one.
Oh
last
yeah,
year's
it is
that
the
popped up.
23rd.
Thank you, Matt. I completely
yeah, thank you, Matt.
screwed that one up, huh?
Yeah, we did a lot.
I could have swore it was the 8th.
Man, that's going to be rough. If I qualify for that, it's going to be rough because I'm going to literally get in from Vegas at like
You're
1
going to
o'clock in the
Vegas
morning.
again?
I'm gonna literally
He goes every like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got Lady Gaga tickets for that weekend.
Rah rah oh la la.
She's gonna be doing a
He's
jazz show.
in Union, so he's like off half the time. So he just spends the other half in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I was
saying-
just saying, Josh, we went this whole stream and nobody mentioned Wolfie's Dynaghost. Not one mention.
No one wants to talk about that because no one listened to us.
Okay, cool.
You know,
But,
in all fairness, if somebody listened to Josh every time he liked an E8 horse, they'd probably be down $12.
But I also like this horse.
Is
Yeah.
a B or
Mark
an A?
had Mark actually had 100.
I had 100
He had
across
100
the board
across the board. But Mark also, like, when I was telling Mark, I was like, hey, like, why don't you look at the golden hour? He's like, no. He's like, I can't look at it. I'm like, dude, there's literally a DRF right in front of you. He's like, no. He's like, I need like time. I need to like look at it. So he was like freaking out. So he like didn't bet anything. And then finally he's like, oh, I had 100 across the board on it because you finally like talked me into betting something. I was like, oh, well. I had 20 to win. I had 20 to win. I was feeling great because I was like 400 and something bucks. And Mark's like, oh, I had 100 across the board.
Like 3,400, but it just I was kicking myself. I'm literally sitting right next to Sheldon, and instead of being like, dude, like take a look at this horse again. This is a horse I'm really into. It's the one horse I like on the entire card. I just sat there and win bet it, and it would have gotten him into Sunday, which pisses me off a little bit.
I think it's just since Josh wanted to bring up how you needed time to look at the card. I think the viewers should just know that Josh always tells Mark he's going to put out a sheet for what we're going to do the night before, and he waits till like 3 hours for the stream just to give Mark a problem. It's fantastic. You guys should really be behind the scenes. Mark starts getting sweats. It's great.
Yeah, because Caleb needs like a half hour. I need like 5 minutes. Brian, I don't know. I think sometimes I think you can go either way.
I win it sometimes.
And Mark needs like 2 hours. So
That's why the ladies love me.
I'm not a power bottom. I'm versatile.
But yeah, I saw Nick had some questions about structure and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that might be something that we look into. We've been trying to think about more weekend streams and stuff like that. Maybe do a weekend morning or something like that, and we talk a little bit more about actual bets during scratches. But we just haven't we've talked about it. We haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet. But that's definitely something on the radar there. because he was talking more about betting theory, like how you structure and think about how you bet. I know
We can, yeah.
some people like the structure talk, some people don't, but I definitely think we can do that. Maybe see if we can get. I'll see maybe if I can get KP or Banos on as well, because I feel like the I feel like everybody kind of looks at it a little bit differently. So I think it might be worth kind of looking
Well,
at
it
different
also
ways you
gets
can
hard
structure
too because you
stuff.
sort of have to, if you want to have the structure conversation, you already have had to have had the handicapping, and you need to apply your handicapping to the structure. So either you're going to have a really long-winded conversation, or how do you get there? It gets tough.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times have you limited yourself on a play because you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to spend 120 on this sequence or whatever you're going to play," and then all of a sudden you're like, "Crap!" You just cut out the horse that wins in leg 4, and then you eat a C you didn't play.
I do that like every day. That's basically what I do.
We know, we know.
I mean, all you have to do is find all the favorites that you don't want to beat you, and then use them defensively, right?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. You know, you can catch us at wrong_lead on Twitter, on thewronglead.com. We're gonna try and get some more written content up there. We say that probably every stream, but with Derby season heating up a
I
little
should
bit,
have something up tomorrow, hopefully. I just need
yeah,
to finish it up.
yeah, yeah. Matthew saying don't play defensively. Exactly, my friend. Mark, listen to him.
Hey, you must not know that Mark
Well,
plays
his
every horse
comment
defensively.
before that was even better about the idea that a lot of successful players are good bettors despite being mediocre handicappers, and that's honestly a very, very fair point.
I mean, Mark would have played Secretariat defensively.
I would have. Yeah, I
We
would have
know.
eaten a beat of Secretariat.
You only got to watch that race, that show on HBO, and you were rooting against the Nick Nolte horse.
Man. But yeah, we'll be back next Thursday. And we'll catch you guys later.